Jumped. There we go. Hi, and welcome to episode 274 of Ask the iPad Man Live. this week being broadcast on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. So if you have friends who you'd like to recommend to this show, but they're not on Facebook, you can send them to YouTube now. So we're doing a test to see if it's going to be a good broadcast, because to do Facebook and YouTube at the same time needs really good internet. And let me tell you, as usual, about an hour ago, I had to restart the modems because it didn't look like we were going to be able to broadcast to both channels. But anyway, let me know if this is much clearer than last week. I know there's plenty of questions to get through, so I'm going to get stuck into this right away. If you do have a question, please do put it in the comment section. Stick a triple Q in front of it, and I'll do my best to get to it this afternoon or tonight. It's interesting broadcasting in the light here in Western Australia, knowing how dark it is already over on the East Coast. So throw those questions in, put a triple Q in front, and if I don't get to them this week, I will open them in the next week, like I'm going to do now with questions that have been asked previously. So let's jump into the show. So the first question is from Judith, and she asked, last week you said you were sending emails to let Perth people know your sessions. I've not received an email yet. Hope you're enjoying Perth. And what can happen with the data that we have, we don't necessarily always know where someone's from. Sometimes in our database, it might just have the name and the email address and not necessarily have the address flagged in our system. Not to worry though, if you want to visit this website we've got a free presentation at the Perth Library. So just go to the iPadman.com/Perth if you are in Perth or can get to Perth or nearby to Perth. That's going to be on Wednesday, the 28th of February from 10:30 till 11:30 a.m. We'll see if we can push it a little bit longer, because I know what's going to happen in this presentation, because we're covering security, privacy, and passwords, and that's a lot. And I just need to stress to everyone, this is a presentation. There will be, for those people who attend, there will be links to further online lessons, because in that amount of time, I cannot go into full detail. But if you do attend that presentation, there'll be a reward. So make sure you follow that link and book with the library. The spots are already starting to fill up. We had a call from the library today. So with another 3 weeks to go before that presentation, you want to get in early, because I believe it will sell out. Okay, so jump in early. That is a free presentation going for 1 hour on Wednesday, the 28th. So now let's get into your questions. And these are actually starting from where the broadcast broke down last time. So Angela was saying that she has a lot of recipes which were in an app called Snap Recipes. Now I'm unable to open the app and there is no response from the makers. How can I access these recipes now, please? And what I started to say was that I don't like your chances, Angela. Unfortunately, when you take a look at apps like this, so let's jump into the App Store, and that was called Snap Recipes. So I'm just going to do a search. Snap Recipes. And this is something for you all to look out for. So here's Snap Recipes. It's $2.99, so it's not a huge expense, but let's click on it and see what happens. Okay, so on my iPad it's moving. On the screen it is not. Let me reconnect the iPad and see if we can have that on the screen. There we go. There we go, that's working again now. So you can see it's got 3.7 star ratings, but as we move through this, you know, it's got good reviews, App of the Week, Sydney Morning Herald. But when we take a look and we start to dig into this, we see what's new, bugs fixed on iPad 5 years ago. Version 10 was 5 years ago. We can click on here and see it's 5, 6, 7 years. This app is abandoned. They are not doing anything more with it, and they have basically left it in the same state it was in 5 years ago. There's obviously bugs and things that are applying to it now, and there's nothing that you'll be able to do to stimulate this company into action because they've basically ignored all users for 5 years. So unfortunately, in this instance, it's working against you. And that really says to what company should you trust to store your recipes in? And I've shown many tips in the past. I mean, I recommend saving recipes as bookmarks, or you can save them into your Notes app. Or if you are going to put it into an App Store app, make sure, so here we can do search recipes. And when it comes up, you can do the filter in the top corner here that says, I want to sort by popularity or ratings. Okay, so let's go by popularity. That'll be on volume. Okay, hit done. And then it's taking a look to see what kind of reviews, but also when was it last updated? Is this being updated? In this instance, when I've done this on popularity, it's coming up more with the shopping center apps. So let's go down and take a look at what else comes up. So weekly planner. And when we touch on weekly planner, we can scroll up and we can see that this was only updated 4 weeks ago. So this developer is still actively doing updates to keep this app fresh and to listen to your feedback and fix any bugs that it finds. And hence we've got lots of 5-star reviews here. In fact, it's got 69 5-star reviews. And I've never seen this app before. It was just one that has popped onto the screen by doing a search. So sorry, Angela, it's time to start a new recipe list. Annie asks, if I save a quick note, the latest one keeps popping up on the Mac. Let's see if I can get my cursor off the, there we go, get the cursor off the screen. If I save a quick note, the latest one keeps popping up in the bottom right corner of my Mac screen. Tried closing it in the Notes app, but it returns relentlessly. How do I stop this? Well, you need to convert this, and I'm actually reading now here, Mac screen, not iPad screen, but it will be the same result. And I'm not structured here to do access to the Mac tonight because I only have one screen. So I won't be able to see my Mac screen at the same time as this broadcast, but it is the same on the iPad. So here I'll jump across to my iPad here and you can see, oh, all cameras are frozen. Let's try again. Let's see, there we go. So when you slide up from the bottom corner, you get a quick note. And this quick note is designed so that, let's say someone's just, you're talking to someone and you need to write down the phone number. And so you could be writing here, you know, 02 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. And so it's just a quick note and you get it back out of the way. Whenever you come back with the quick note, it's going to have that same information here. It really is designed to be just a quick jotting down of a note. But if it's always popping up with the same one, and on a Mac, that means you're taking the mouse down to the bottom right corner. Once the note's open, you can touch on the 3 dots, and actually it's not the 3 dots, you've got to touch on the grid to get it open up into the Full Notes app. And once it's in the Full Notes app, you can then touch on that particular note, touch the 3 dots and move the note to being a proper full-blown note. And it'll no longer be a quick note, it'll be a proper note that you can file away. So a quick note is just sliding up from the bottom right corner and jotting down something quickly. Now from Annie's point of view, there's a particular setting that structures what happens when your mouse goes to the 4 different corners. And as I said, I'm just not set for broadcasting that tonight. So Annie, I'll do a screenshot to show you where it is. It's in settings, and you can just tell your device, you know, you can say when you go to, everything's back to front. When you go to this corner, it could be start a screenshot, take a screenshot. Going down to this corner could be starting your screensaver. This one could be just locking your device, and this one here could be taking notes. So you can actually structure what happens when you move the mouse to those 4 different sections on your screen. Vanessa asks, what's the difference between notes and quick notes when swiping the bottom right corner of an iPad? I usually use Siri or microphone when making notes. Do you use quick notes? And I guess I've just answered that for you, Vanessa. I forgot that I put these 2 questions back to back, but the idea of the quick note is it's just to get something up very quickly onto the screen so that you can, without having to go into the full-blown app. That's all it is. It's just a quick note designed to be like kind of disposable, like a post-it note, write on it, kind of throw it away. If it's important, then you can turn it into a proper note that you keep and add to and file. But a quick note is really just, you know, trying to be similar to just that sheet of paper that you write something on very quickly. Brenda asks, I keep getting a pop-up window asking me to log into websites using Google. Is there any way to stop this pest? Unfortunately, no. A lot of sites, they don't, well, they're trying to offer the service of you using your Google account to establish an account with that business. So rather than having another username and password, you can just sign in with your Google account and access the features of that particular website. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, because often I'm logging onto or visiting a website and it says sign in with Google. And I think, no, I don't want to sign in with Google. I just want to visit the website. Sign in with Google. I think what will happen in time is they'll realize they're overstepping the mark a bit, and those pop-ups will back off. But at the moment, we can block pop-ups. But when we do that, things like banking don't work, because banking pops up a window that doesn't have menus at the top, and all of a sudden things that we need to do won't work properly. So we're better off just to put up with the nuisance of these windows or these requests, get them out of the way, and it's just another reason to perhaps not use Google so much, because they want to know everything we're doing everywhere we go. Catherine asks, my sticker emoji symbol has disappeared from my iPad. How do I find it? Okay, so if your emojis have disappeared, and here it's saying the sticker emoji symbol has disappeared, well, then that's, to me, sounding like it's in the Messages app. So I'll jump to Messages, just making sure everything is okay. Yep, iPad here. And if it's gone missing, you touch the plus button here, and there you'll see stickers. And so under stickers are emojis. So here are the most recent ones. When you touch this little clock, here are the stickers you've made. Here are the emojis. Here's your memojis if they're based on you. I'll have to update mine, get rid of the cap and put the spiky hair in, hey. So, because there's me as Father Christmas. Oh dear. So they're the memojis, and then you get to other stickers that you can download from the App Store. You know, here's Qantas stickers, here's heart stickers, and you can download many, many more from the App Store. But this particular symbol here, that smiley face, that gives you access to the emojis. And then down the bottom here is how they're grouped. So that's the smiley faces, the animals, food and stuff, sport, hospital, objects, arrows and even the flags of the countries. Okay, and that's all tucked behind the plus button and under the stickers tab there. Okay, now of course, once you're typing, if you start typing, you also have this symbol in the bottom left corner of your keyboard, and that also calls up emojis. Now, if you don't see that symbol, then what you do is you go to your settings, general, scroll up until you see keyboard. When you touch on keyboard, up the top here it says keyboards, and you make sure you have the emoji one here. Okay, so if you don't, you hit add new keyboard and you just search for emoji and add emoji as a keyboard that you can access. Okay, so if you don't have a globe down the bottom here, so I'll just open up a note, new note. So you'll either have a smiley face or a globe. If you've got a globe, it means you have the another language like German or French or something as an option. But if you just have English and emoji, you'll get the ABC and you'll get that smiley face. So let me know, are you the type of person who does use emojis? What's your favorite emoji? Maybe stick the emoji in the comments. Let me know which one it is that you do use the most. Christine asks, my Apple Mac has stopped doing updates now as it's getting old. I am thinking it's unprotected now and time for a new one. So Christine, yeah, I do believe, once your computer is unable to do updates, Apple will do its best for a year or two to maintain the security of that device. But it reaches a point where the technology moves ahead so fast that it's hard to protect a machine that might have an old flaw or some old code from the latest, bad attacks. Being honest, you and I are not targets. We're not specifically targeting you as an individual, but they do target the low-hanging fruit. So they will, you might land on a bad website, and that bad website, I can see all these emojis coming through now. That bad website might be identifying, hey, you're on old software. We're going to try and get you to download something and then install it because they know there's a hole in that software. So in my opinion, I would be thinking about updating reasonably soon. Now, Apple have just updated their Macs last year. So they are very, very good machines. And for most people, you still only need the M1 chip, the entry-level model Macs, unless you're doing, high-end video editing. And if you're using an old Mac, the chances are, probably a bit low that you're doing that because you would have wanted to update sooner. So the entry-level Macs are still what most people need. But if you do want to just take advantage of buying something for another 8 to 10 years, buy the best that you can afford because they are really brilliant what they're able to do, these newer machines. Just the speed that they have is just phenomenal. Although Peter has just said here, I'm using my Mac less and less and my iPad more and more. Should I need to update the Mac? And I guess the answer there, Peter, is what are you using the Mac for? And the only advantage, for me having a Mac is to be able to do these live broadcasts. I cannot do this with an iPad. I must do it with the Mac. I find it a bit easier to organize photos on the Mac. It's just a little bit easier to drag and drop things. But having said that, I can equally organize. I can do the same thing on my iPad and iPhone, and I've got some good tutorials showing people how to do that. So at the end of the day, it's what are you using your Mac for? And in reality, a lot of people aren't replacing their computer at all. They're just keeping their iPhone and their iPad. I mean, you don't need to buy something if you're not using any of the features on it. Jan asks, how do I update my Apple TV? I have the Apple TV box, not a smart TV. So simply on your Apple TV, look for the icon that's like this. It's your settings icon on the Apple TV. And then when you touch on that, you want to go down to System, which is, I think it's the second or third menu from the bottom once you've touched on Settings. And then once you've touched on that, you'll have Software Update as an option. And then you just get it to check and do the updates. Now for me, I set up the Apple TV to do automatic updates, and it is pretty good at keeping it up to date. So I actually rarely go in there and force it to do the update. It's probably only if it's a really big update that I do that. But otherwise, I just let the TV do it when it's ready, because it's not as though Apple brings out, unbelievable, groundbreaking features in the Apple TV each month, although they did add FaceTime, which is awesome, to the Apple TV. Has anyone used FaceTime on their Apple TV? It's where you actually start the FaceTime, you click on the icon on the screen, and then you use your iPhone's cameras. You put your iPhone in front of the TV. It's, these cameras are looking back at you. So that's what you're broadcasting, and you're seeing your family or friends on the big screen. It is awesome if you haven't tried it. So let me know in the comments if you've tried FaceTime on the TV. Also realize that you might be able to sit a bit further back on the lounge, which will disguise those wrinkles a little bit, because you're way back here looking forward. Even though it does zoom in a bit, it's certainly not like being up close like this. Okay. So, so it could be really good for a lot of you who are saying, I don't want to see myself on camera. Well, you're going to be a little bit further back. And Eve is saying that she has done the FaceTime on TV. So that's fantastic to see. Jan asks, we have 6 Apple devices between the two of us, and it's getting confusing with Apple Watch as it's all in my name. Is there any way to unlink them from my husband on my account, please, as he doesn't have an Apple account? I did cover this in a recent episode, Jan, so I will put through the link to this. But maybe everyone who's watching, can you let me know, are you sharing your Apple ID with your spouse, or do you have separate accounts? Because Jan, the solution here is that your husband needs an Apple ID. He has to have an Apple account. As you're experiencing, it gets very confusing when you're using one Apple ID to supposedly make the devices easier to use or to save money. But what's really happening is when your husband's using his device, let's say I'm going to call your husband Tom, I've got no idea what his name is. Let's say he's using the device and it says, oh, I'm Tom. And then you use it and he goes, oh, I thought I was Tom, I'm Jan. And it changes the name to Jan. And then Tom uses it and then it changes it to Tom. And it's rubber bands back and forth. Your friends don't know who they're ringing when they're FaceTiming. They want to FaceTime your hubby and they get you, and vice versa. It really is not a great situation. So you do need to create an Apple ID for your husband. So you need to have him sign out of all of his devices. And then when he starts, he creates an Apple ID just for him. And then you most likely join up the family sharing. So I'll send you some links, Jan, on how you can set that up, but I believe it's a must. And taking a look, Lorraine, no way I'm sharing mine. We've got separate accounts here from Louise, separate accounts from Raylene, separate from Enid. Inika, I hope I said that right, is separate as well. Peter's separate now. Too much grief with the joint user. Yep, separate. So it's great to see so many of you with the separate accounts. And that means that it is a lot easier to communicate with each other and for your friends to communicate with you, and you don't get all this confusion. So well done to everybody, and Jan will get you there. How's the pace tonight? There were a lot of questions to get through, so hopefully I'm not talking too fast. But there, because of the broadcast last week dying, we do have a backlog. So I'll keep moving forward, but let me know if I'm going too fast and you want me to slow down. Okay, Judy asks, is it correct that Big Pond email accounts are going to be closed sometime this year? Not that I've heard. It would be a devastating PR blow to Telstra if they did that. I just cannot see Telstra abandoning, 7 to 10 million customers by dropping Big Pond. They were dropping the support for 3G in June this year, which means if you've got an Apple Watch 4 or earlier, that they will no longer work on the mobile phone network because some of those watches are using the 3G network. But as far as email is concerned, I've heard nothing. Potentially, Judy, if you've got anything that you think is suggesting that, please feel free to forward it to me at colin@theipadman.com, and I'm more than happy to take a look at the documentation and clarify it for you. Ron asks, is there any way of filling sequential numbers in a column in a Pages doc as you do in Numbers? Oh, that's a great question. In fact, I must have misread this earlier on because I looked at how you do it in Numbers. I didn't even read the part about Pages. That's what I call being store blind. Sometimes you can be so close to the information that you don't see it. So I'll demonstrate, because I've got to download Pages, it's not on this iPad. I'll demonstrate firstly how to do it in Numbers, and then we'll come back to Pages and see if we can do it as well. So let's open up Numbers. So Numbers is the Apple version. Oh, it's the Apple version of Microsoft Excel. And of course, it is free. So here we've got a column and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we want to create a sequence going down the page without having to type, say, 1 to 20. So you can select these cells. So you select number 1, and then you grab that little blue ball in that bottom right corner and just take it down to number 4. Then this menu pops up and you hit Cell Actions, and then you hit Autofill Cells, this big green button that appears on the right. And now we can just grab this handle, grab the yellow, there's 2 little dots here or 2 dots here. If I went across this way, you'll see it's going to repeat that set. But if I go down from here, oops, I need to redo that again. So let me select. In fact, I can just grab, now that I've selected that one cell, there's a tiny, tiny little yellow dot here, and I can grab that. I'm just struggling to grab it with the mouse. See if I can grab it with my finger. I'm going to go back to my original way. It's far easier. Select them, hit Cell Actions, Autofill Cells, grab the 2 lines, and look as I pull down, and it's done 1 to 20. And you can also do that for things like, let's get the keyboard up, change it to letters. So we could go Monday, and that should be enough. So let's try that. Monday, Cell Actions, Autofill Cells, pull down, and you can see there that we've made our little calendar. It's repeated Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and repeating down. So creating those cells without having to type them all out, pretty quick and easy. It is just a matter of touching on the cell and then waiting to see the results. So now let's see if Pages has worked. Let's take a look. Make sure my iPad is not frozen. There we go. Come to Pages. and it's not appearing on the screen. Oh, what about this one? What's going on? Come on, iPad. There we go. Create a new document, blank. We'll insert a table and let's go 1, select the next cell and do 2. And let's see if we can select those cells, select merge. And the answer here is no. It's not giving us that option to do so. So I'm going to research that because I'm thinking here, whenever I see that yellow circle, and it's not appearing all of the time, there's a tiny little yellow circle that appears, and maybe because I'm using the mouse, it won't show up. So there, I don't know if you can see it there. There it is. And I don't seem to be able to grab it with my mouse. So no, it doesn't look like you can. So what you could do is go create that in Numbers. You could then copy those cells. So we hit copy. Let's jump back to Pages and hit paste. Allow the paste, and there we go. We've been able to add those numbers into that table into Pages. So where there's a will, there's a way. So Ron, do the autofill in Numbers and then just copy and paste it into your table in Pages, and we've got a solution. Let me know in the comments who still does use Numbers, who still who still uses spreadsheets. Okay, Trish asks, I still don't understand how to back up my MacBook Air. I don't want to do the update without knowing if a backup is not happening. Okay, well, the only way to do a backup on a Mac is to install an external hard drive. And when you plug in an external hard drive, if you pop down to, say, Harvey Norman or JB Hi-Fi, Officeworks in Australia, and you just get a little 1 terabyte external hard drive, when you plug it in, your Mac will prompt you, do you want to use this as a backup disk? Because that's the only way you can do a backup on a Mac, is to an external device. At all other times, your data is kind of synchronizing and backing up to iCloud. You know, I wouldn't call it a true backup because it's syncing information. If you delete your photos from your Mac, it'll delete it from the cloud. So it's not a true backup as such. However, if you were thinking of, if I do the update and the Mac crashes, do I lose my photos? Well, no, you wouldn't, because they'd still be in the cloud and they would automatically come back down. But there may be some files that you do have on your computer that aren't in the cloud, and they could potentially be lost. So if you're worried about files, and they're usually in the movies folder or the pictures folder, not in your photo library. So any images that are outside of your library, they're the only ones that there's the potential to lose if something went wrong. Okay, so external hard drive is going to be the safest way, but otherwise I'm confident to use iCloud. I've not done a Time Machine backup. I can't even remember now, 5 years. I do trust the cloud to look after my information, and I trust myself not to delete things and not notice for 30 days. Like, if you accidentally delete something, you can recover it within 30 days. And I trust myself to notice it in that time frame. And therefore, I don't do a backup. Barbara asks, please tell us again how to unsubscribe to reduce so many emails. It was great meeting you and learning. Oh, I've had an error come up on my screen. It was great meeting you and learning personally from you at Rabina 3 weeks ago. Yeah, thank you, Barbara. I had an absolute ball. It's been wonderful being in front of audiences again. I can't believe how much I missed it. I love doing this too because you're all over the country and all over the world. I mean, Norway, UK, Perth, Melbourne, Adelaide, Queensland. There's lots of little towns in between. So this is wonderful. But there's also something about being in front of an audience live, and I've really enjoyed being in front of people on the Gold Coast and also on the Sunshine Coast recently. It's been absolutely fabulous. So if you are in Perth and you want to see me live, make sure you go to the iPadman.com/Perth and register a ticket because I believe they'll sell out. Anyway, Barbara, the way to deal with unsubscribing or unroll me is, again, I do not know what is going on with my machine today. It's probably because I'm just running off, everything is running off one screen, so potentially my power's overloaded. So what I would do is go to unrollme.com, if I can spell it right. Unroll me. Oh, it's unroll.me, sorry, unroll.me, and follow the prompts here. It will actually tell you what to do as you're going through and doing it. So you can hit sign up for free, and it says connect your inbox below. And so it actually tells you what you need to do here. So here you'd hit add a mailbox and say, what do you have? Google, iCloud, which is whatever account you have. It says enter your email address and continue. So it actually will prompt you all the way through, no matter what you have here: Google, Yahoo, Outlook, iCloud, and AOL. Now, I do appreciate if you are in England or if you're in the UK, the privacy laws over there are so strict that Unroll Me is, I don't think, meets the privacy requirements of the European Union, because technically Unroll Me gains access to your emails to be able to get rid of all of the accounts, the newsletters and stuff that you want to unsubscribe from. But the other thing that you can do, you will notice that on your devices now, whenever you get a newsletter from somebody, I'm just looking to see if I can get one up onto the screen. It seems that I've been doing a good job clearing them up, so I can't find one as we speak. And I just don't want to put my emails up on the screen here. So let's go back a bit further and hit a random. Let's see if we can find one. For a pleasant change, most of my emails are actually business level and not spammy. So that's a good thing. Let's see if I can find one. I must be able to find one. Newsletters. Here we go. And there we go. So here up the top here, it says this message is from a mailing list, unsubscribe. So that's what you can do. You can hit this unsubscribe button. Not that I'm going to do it from this Liars non-alcoholic stuff, because it tastes bloody fantastic. Still off the grog, which is nice. But here, this message is from a mailing list, unsubscribe. Apple and Google are making it much, much easier for us to take control. And in fact, as of the 1st of February, new rules came in for businesses like mine, and it's much stricter in the way that we send emails. So our ability to send an email to you, if we don't dot the I's and cross the T's by Google and Yahoo's and Apple's standards, they're just going to send our emails straight to spam. So I think that we should see a huge reduction in the amount of spam being delivered in the coming months. You know, by March, I think you'll notice it. I haven't gone and added it up on mine to see how much it's reduced, but certainly they've taken enormous strides in blocking or making it harder for people to fake other companies to send emails. It's getting much, much tighter and much better. So it's really good. And I mean, Denise has just put a comment up saying, are you able to watch the BBC show about scam interceptors? It's very interesting but scary. Yeah, I was seeing when I was in the UK, I was watching that show. I actually took notes, and it was scary just to see, the scammers are so smart, and there's so much opportunity for them. So, and once again, that's more so if you are falling into their kind of the trap of, using free Wi-Fi, and you've given them information, but once they've got it, they're very clever at what they can do. So, but Denise, yeah, really interesting and scary show. I do agree. Isabel asks, I've taken your advice and I'm swimming laps with my Apple Watch on. Yes. How do I record laps while swimming? Would like to set the watch before I leave home as I swim a kilometre with phone tucked in my swimmers. Isabel, what are you doing? You do not need to have your iPhone tucked into your swimmers. Your watch can do everything. Um, okay, let's see. This is going to be a little bit tricky. I need to move some stuff out of the way. And I have a camera here. Let's see. Hopefully the camera will not play up this time. Select a camera source. Well, yes, it was there. Obviously, my system is not liking how many cameras I've connected to it today. There we go. Can I get my wrist? Okay. Oh, it's gone away. Let's try that again. Let's see. Better one. I'm going to try a slightly different way. Maybe you'll like that better. Apple. So with all of, there we go. Okay, so here's my Apple Watch. Now, when I want to go and do a workout, I can select on the crown, I can select that workout symbol, touch on that there. And here you can see I do a lot of, open water swims. I don't want to do an outdoor walk. Just end that. I do a lot of open water swims. I did one just yesterday and got stung. Oh, that hurt. But if you scroll down and you find the one that says pool swim, so there we go, pool swim. But you'll see there's 3 dots there in the top right corner. So if you touch on that, you can say, I want to do an open swim, time swim, I want to do a particular distance, I want to do a kilometre. So you can actually choose what you want to do. Let's say you don't know how long you're going to swim for, so you do open. But then you can change the length of the pool here. So is it a 25-metre pool? Is it a 50-metre pool? And so you hold your finger on the plus, if it's a 50-metre, and you make a 50-metre pool. And that's it. And then you hit start. You don't need your watch, so you don't need your phone. You're just using the watch. The watch knows the pool is 50 metres long, and it will sense your change in direction because it senses the gyroscope inside. So it'll know what stroke you're doing. If you're doing freestyle, it knows the motion. If you're doing breaststroke, it knows the motion. And at the end of your swim, it actually comes up and tells you how long you swam for. So here is my phone. Come on, phone. You're plugged in. You can work. I can feel it. I can see. Maybe I'll just do it under the other camera. There we go. Come on. Okay. So if I go to my activity and so it's now called fitness, sorry, fitness, touch on fitness. And so I can see here's history. Yesterday was a 660-metre swim, and it tells me how long it took me to do each 100 metres here. I could change that to every 50 metres. And I hit X here. It shows me where I swam, which is great, but it also tells me up the top here that I did, oh, it's saying I did breaststroke. That's not what I did. It's saying I did breaststroke 640 metres. That's strange. That's the first time I've seen it get it wrong. because normally when I come in here and I take a look at my activity, and for those of you that have seen it, let's say lots of walking, let's go to this swim here. There we go, freestyle, 1.1 kilometers at Burley Heads. So it actually knows what stroke you've been doing most of the time. Um, Sometimes obviously it's going to make a mistake. Unknown stroke for 26 meters, freestyle 1.44. So it's really, really clever. It knows the distance of a pool once you've set it. It knows what stroke you're doing. You do not need to take your phone in the water, Isabel. Keep your phone out of the water. Christine asks, what is Metal Boot Storer? It shows up in my bookmark section. Thank you. I've got no idea. It's a website you visited, Christine. So I have no idea, when you visited it. Was it a friend who used your device who saved it as a bookmark? Did you accidentally save it as a bookmark? But that's all it is. It's a website that you have visited and you've hit the arrow and saved it as a bookmark. So when you touch on it, whatever website it takes you to, if it's a good website that you like, great. If not, delete it as a bookmark, because that's the only way it got there, is by you adding it, because there's no other way. You can't visit a website and have it automatically bookmark. Otherwise, I'd send mine out to all of you. You must have accidentally done it and just don't remember. Denise asks, I'm going to Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Hong Kong soon on a cruise. Well done, you. That sounds like an awesome cruise. What's the best settings for my phone so I don't get hefty charges? Okay. Well, without a shadow of a doubt, um, get my phone on the screen again. Without a shadow of a doubt, what you do need to do is come in here to settings and go to mobile and turn mobile data off. Now, I'm not going to do this live because that's what's enabling me to broadcast this show. So if I turn that off, I'll go bye-bye. But that's all you need to do when you're on the ship, okay? Because you don't want to be using their mobile data, but you do want to be using the Wi-Fi of the ship, okay? So when you get on board the ship, often you'll come down and pull down from that top right corner of your phone, put airplane mode on. Okay, it's now stopping. I should not have done that either. Hopefully that doesn't hurt the broadcast. I'm turning that back on very quickly. You'd put airplane mode on, but you would also leave Wi-Fi on, because the ships have, what's on around the ship, what's restaurants. You can book restaurants over the Wi-Fi. But the mobile data, you want to turn that off. Now, when you get to land, if you want to use the international roaming, the day passes, which I would recommend on a cruise, because you're not going to get a SIM card for 1 day in a city or 3 days in a country. So the international roaming will be about $10 a day in those countries. Double check before you go, just whoever you're with, British Telecom, Optus, Vodafone, whoever it is, check what the international roaming rates are. When you get off the ship, turn the mobile data back on. When you get on the ship, turn the mobile data off. Because the ships actually have their own tower, and they love it when you use their tower, because they make a lot of money. You can get a $1,500 bill from a cruise ship. So please make sure mobile data is off whenever you are walking onto the ship. Wow, we're getting through a lot of questions, way more than I thought we would in this time frame. Let's keep going. Denise asks, I mentioned in episode 273 about Apple Watch not operating when you take it off your wrist. This doesn't happen when I take mine off. Okay. Well, let's see if I can put my Apple Watch on the screen again. Apple Watch mirroring. Let's see if it works. It may not based on how I'm set up. If it doesn't, I'll bring this camera into place. Okay. So if I take my watch off my wrist, like I'm not even taking it off my wrist, I've just disconnected it. You can see it's automatically asking me for a code. And so now I'll just go off camera to enter that code. Without that code, the watch wouldn't work. And that's because I have Apple Pay on here. It forces me to have the code. If you don't have that option where you can take your watch off and it just works anyway, you need to come into your settings here and scroll up until you find passcode. So up there we go. It says passcode there. Touch on passcode and you need to turn passcode on. My one says turn passcode off because it's already here. You need to turn passcode on. Now that has a few advantages. I can unlock my iPhone if I'm wearing this watch. I can actually unlock my Mac just by sitting in front of it, as long as I have that feature on. But you will need that to have that feature on if you're going to take advantage of Apple Pay and if you don't want to get your device, like if it's stolen, if you don't want someone else using it. So just go and turn that setting on. Everyone who has the Apple Watch, make sure you've got that setting on. It's a pain to type in your password, the passcode once a day. No, it's not. It's once a day. It's when you put your watch on. You're not getting, unlike the phone and the iPad that are constant, it's just when you put it on, enter your code. Now it's secure. Take it off. Now no one else can use it. So it's a great feature. Elaine asks, my iPhone is backed up daily, but sometimes my WhatsApp says in settings that there is not enough storage to back up. Should I delete all photos and videos on WhatsApp? I do pay extra storage for 200 gigabytes, but then it goes up to 2 terabytes. Yeah, and it goes up from like $4.50 to $15. So Elaine, definitely. I mean, here's the thing. When your friends and relatives share good photos and videos with you, at that point, if it's a great photo or video, save it to your photos. Just hold your finger down on the image, save image. It then gets saved to your camera roll and you've got a copy of it. But if it's just, generic, here's what we're up to, it's them eating, having a pizza, or here's cheers or whatever, or here's a video of the kids running around, and it doesn't, like, it's a fleeting memory. How often do you go onto WhatsApp and scroll back and look at what you sent a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago? You've got all this space being eaten up with things you'll never look at again. So definitely I recommend video first. Try and delete videos because videos usually store 20 to 30 times more, or take up 20 to 30 more times more space than a photo for every second to 5 seconds of video. Okay, so if you've got a 2-minute video, that's the equivalent of getting rid of hundreds of photos. Okay, so concentrate on deleting old videos first. Jerry asks, can you solve a Facebook problem I have? The search bar is a small one at the top right of the page. When I type into it, the typing doesn't appear, but does happen. Jerry had more to this as well. His wife's iPad has the search bar in the middle. His one has the search bar on the right. My one, just for an example, has, oops, not the weather, Facebook. Not my email, Facebook. Okay. Oh, You can't even see that I'm hitting the wrong buttons. Come on, iPad, load up. There we go. My search bar is on the right-hand side as well. So what happens, Jerry, is just Facebook plays experiments on us all the time, and they love experimenting on Australians. Okay, so um, Australia is a kind of a curated market where they can test it to see how things work or not work before they roll it out to countries like the US or the UK, which have much bigger populations. So Facebook loves experimenting on our devices, and hence you've got a husband and wife who are getting two different versions of probably the same version of Facebook. It's kind of crazy. If you go to the App Store, if this decides to load, oh dear. I'm definitely going to take a look at the equipment that I've got connected. I think it's just drawing too much power. But anyway, in your Facebook, um, if you go and look into the App Store, you'll see that you could have version 483 of Facebook and your wife could have version 483 of Facebook, and yet you're looking at them and they're different. And that's Facebook experimenting on Australians. Okay. All we can do is wait for them to do the next update and hopefully that fixes it for you. But we actually have no option to say, no, I want the search in the middle, not on the right. You know, Facebook doesn't do that for us, unfortunately. Oh, this one should be quick and easy. Whoops, it ran away. It wasn't meant to run away that fast. Let's call that up. Louise asks, my MacBook Air is showing the incorrect date and time. How do I fix this? And the answer is right there in your screenshot. Thank you for the screenshot. On your screenshot here, you have this button here. It says, I can't see it, it's too small. I'm pretty sure it says set the local time. And that's all you need to turn on, that one button here. Okay, I'm glad I looked at this earlier because on my screen it's teensy. Okay, but I'm sure that's the one. It says, it'll be saying, use your location to set the local time. Turn that on and now your Mac will have the correct time. Okay, I think we've got time for one more question because we are at 2 minutes to 6 where I am. So let's finish with this great one. Marion's got a great question. She says, I've made a grocery list in my reminders and it automatically divides into sections such as bakery, seafood. I don't need these particular sections and would just like Siri to put my needs in the grocery list without these sections. Thank you for your help and hope that you're enjoying WA. Sounds like it's a bit hot. Well, it got down to 12 degrees the other night. We looked at the forecast and thought, we don't need a jumper. We did. We've left them all back east. Anyway, it's meant to be pretty hot tomorrow, so we got through those 2 cool days. But let's jump back to the iPad, and please, iPad, just connect for me. I'm going to go and look for a connection. Quick workaround, a quick live workaround that hopefully this machine will like. And select a camera source. And it just does not want to play. Come on, iPad. Show up. Well, that might end this. I might leave you in suspense with how to answer that because for whatever reason, it's just not going to show my iPad screen. It's telling me to select a camera source and it is not displaying. These things happen and oh, I can see what's happened here. Select a camera source and the iPad's not showing anyway. Okay, I'm going to leave you in suspense. Marion, I know the answer. but we'll have to wait to episode 275. That's where I'll be starting. Okay, so again, if you're in Perth, what you want to do is visit this website, theipadman.com/Perth, and register if you want to come to my free talk on security and privacy at the Perth Library, Wednesday, 28th of February, 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And I'm sure what I'll do is I'll coordinate a place to go to afterwards for lunch. So if anyone wants to join me at lunch, I won't be paying for everybody, just letting you know. Um, but if you just want to join me for lunch somewhere, I'll figure out a good restaurant nearby and we'll go and hang out for lunch afterwards as well. So register through that link. If you've got a question that you've just thought of now, throw it in the comment section. If you have asked a question, I will do my best to get to it next week. Let me know what your favorite tip was from tonight's episode in the comments. And also, I think I only saw, I think I only saw Brian on YouTube. So again, just remind people they'll be broadcasting onto YouTube as well if they don't have Facebook. So thanks again. Let me know what your favorite topic was, and I will see you next week. Cheerio.